Joe Rogan had Matt Walsh on? Ew, that's so gross, bro.
Your documentaries, I can't tell you how many people have asked me if I've seen it. I think it's...
Yeah, that's a self-report, dummy. That just means, like, you're surrounded by trans-obsessed, transphobic weirdos, okay? He's like, man, all my friends suck shit. Like, I'll tell you what. I've had 0 motherfuckers in the real world come up to me and be like, bro, have you seen the What is a Woman documentary by Matt Walsh? You want to know why? Because I'm not surrounded by fucking psychos who are like, hey, what's the next agitprop I can inform myself about these mischievous trans people? Look, there are layers of transphobia, as I have talked about many, many, many different times. You have like the normal transphobia that most people who have never thought about the existence of trans people have, okay? Which includes like even trans people who have internalized transphobia, you know what I mean? Because of the way that we understand gender. Gender is seen as a binary concept, is super rigid, and it's also deeply personal to our existence. That's how we've been taught. So a lot of people, that's the default position for a lot of people. And then if they're more empathetic, it's usually, I don't really understand it. It's kind of weird to me. I don't want to touch that issue, whatever. And then there are people who then turn around and move beyond the default position and start making up their mind about trans people's existence being a bad thing, okay? That's what I call, turf brain. When you're like starting to get this weird brain disease and there's so much anti-trans agitprop out there. So sometimes these people go down that rabbit hole and they find the talking points. And they want to feel like they're, doing something smart while they're simultaneously making themselves feel better about their opinions, because there is a sense of comfort that comes from someone who is appearing to be intelligent, from delivering information from a position of authority that tells you like your preconceived notions, your biases, and everything that you've learned your entire life is actually true. And the people that are telling you that it's wrong, those people that want to change society, they're bad and wrong. That gives you a sense of comfort and a sense of security. So then you turn around and you start further going down that fucking trajectory of just, hating trans people. It is really, really shitty. It's hard to undo. But I'll tell you this much. You will go fucking crazy. You will become like Dave Chappelle. I loved Dave Chappelle for a very long time. He's a very important comedian for me. If you look at his comedy now, it's just all like an old man yelling about trans people. Like, he just can't shut the fuck up about trans people. He's constantly talking about trans people. It sucks because he doesn't understand it. And he doesn't want to understand it. And he's just basically repeating 4chan poll fucking memes, helicopter. The only people that are going to laugh alongside that are going to be laughing because they're agreeing with you. They don't, in that situation, they're not laughing because you just brought up a brilliant point. They're laughing because they just agree. It's doing this. It's the Hannah Gadsby for transphobia, okay? At that point, you're not doing comedy. You're doing a fucking TED Talk. Anyway. But yeah, let's see what we had to say.
Most eye-opening things that's ever been done on this whole gender confusion thing that we're going through right now in our culture. And it was just like one of those things where I had to watch. Like, so many people were like, you have to see this. You have to see this. And I expected it to be like, I thought it would be like arguments with people, or it would be very, very confrontational, but instead, I think you did it masterfully. What you did is you just let these people explain themselves the way they would talk if you weren't there, the way they would talk to people.
Why are we removing the nuance between finding something funny and whether you believe in it or not? Bro, you can make funny jokes about trans people. The difference between someone being able to craft a joke about trans people versus just saying, lol, trans people are fucking weird, right? And like pointing at them, is how much you understand the trans experience. And if you don't understand that experience, and this doesn't, just stop focusing on this as just a trans thing, because it's basically a universal value. If you can't comprehend the subject matter that you're covering, you're not going to be able to make really interesting and actually funny, insightful jokes. Okay? It's just that simple. That's the difference between Dave Chappelle making jokes about black culture and black existence in America and like some racist shock jock saying, lol, black people are this way or black people are that way. Am I right? Like, That's the main difference. One is an outsider who does not understand the black existence, okay? Just pointing the finger at black people and reinforcing usually, racist tropes, okay? Versus the other person is a black person who truly understands the experience and can craft brilliant narratives off of that. That's the difference between Steven Crowder and Dave Chappelle talking about black people.
People who agree with what they're saying. And by not pushing back, I think you allowed them to let all the crazy out. And it's like, it's hard to describe to people that aren't aware of what's going on, of how wild this stuff has gotten. But first of all, tell me, what was the process of making this? Like, how long did it take? What was the motivation behind it?
Yeah, thanks for talking about it so much on your podcast, by the way. It's been a huge boost for us. And we, I had this idea. You'd really have to go back several years because it occurred to me maybe back in, 2017, that when this transgender stuff was starting to really gain mainstream traction, which I think happened really, that was like maybe when Bruce Jenner became Caitlyn Jenner. That was the moment that I think it exploded onto the mainstream. Not when it began, but it exploded into mainstream. Right around that time, it sort of occurred to me that the people promoting this stuff have a problem, which is that we're supposed to accept someone like Bruce as a woman, but then what exactly does that mean? What are we accepting him as? Like he says, I identify as a woman. Well, what are you identifying as? What are we, if you're a woman, well, I know what a woman was before, but if now we're including a guy like Bruce.
I'm going to be honest, I don't think you did. I don't think you did. That's cap. It's like, I didn't know what a woman was. I thought I knew what a woman was. It's like, why are they making something so understandable complicated? It's on purpose. He's being purposely obtuse in order to draw home a larger narrative, which is that he just finds it confusing. Because a lot of people do. Because of social conditioning, okay? He knows a lot of people find it confusing, and that's precisely why he's covering it this way. He's like, oh, it's just like weird. I'm just asking questions. Like, no, that motherfucker's not asking questions. Okay? I think you underestimate how stupid he is. No, brother. That person is not fucking behaving that way. He has uncovered antiquated trans documents from like the fucking primitive accumulation period just so he can be more transphobic. Are you fucking stupid? These people like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh know more about trans shit than fucking trans people do. They literally are like at the cutting edge of trans news. They're straight up every day. They're like Googling what's happening right now with the trans community just so they can be more transphobic. Come on. They talk about trans shit more than trans people do, bro. What the fuck? It's his bread and butter. His bread and butter is just like constantly fucking shitting on trans people. It's like at its most, okay? It's occupying such a gigantic space in your fucking mind. It is so deeply unhealthy. It is so incredibly unhealthy to just like constantly think about anything this much. If you were this obsessed with anime, I'd tell you, dude, you need to fucking dial it back, okay? It's breaking your brain. For him, there's also a second component here. He's making money off this. This is his bread and butter. This is how he makes money. For someone like Dave Chappelle, it kind of ruins his comedy. Like, he puts out 3 or 4 more specials constantly just ripping into trans people. I don't think that he's going to have the same fucking audience that he already had.
Bruce, then what is a woman now? And so I started asking this question. It was really basic, just like, what is a woman? What are you trying to say about womanhood now? And couldn't get anyone to answer it. I mean, and mostly it's just on Twitter, and challenging someone on the left. Just give me a definition. What's your definition of the word? And none of them would do it. So at a certain point, I thought, well, we have to find a way to go out and put this question in front of them. And that's sort of where the idea for the documentary came from. And we knew going in that we wanted 2 things, well, 3 things. One is we have the mission behind it, the message that we want to get across. But we also want it to be a piece of entertainment, because a lot of conservative documentaries, not all of them, but many of them are just, you feel like you're watching an extended version of a podcast or something. It's not a piece of entertainment. So we wanted it to be that. And then we also knew that the way this is going to work, if it works at all, is if I'm just asking questions. Because if it's me going on a tour around the country yelling at people, would be satisfying for me emotionally, but it just wouldn't.
I love that he admits that. Like, he would be satisfied yelling at trans people around the country. Like that would be a satisfying thing for him emotionally. I wonder where all of this perspective is coming from, where all this resentment is coming from. Oh, wait, that's right. This motherfucker is straight up, he's got turf brain, okay? It's a brain disease. There is literally a spectrum of being transphobic. On the one side, you have like pink is for girls, blue is for men. That's how this works. What the fuck? Don't play with the G.I. Joes if you're a woman. Don't play with fucking Barbies if you're a man, right? That's like all conditioning. That's all social conditioning that you have learned since birth. So like there is the regular stubbornness that comes from that. And then the more you move on the fucking spectrum, the further you go towards like leaning into the transphobic takes, because it gives you comfort, because it makes you feel like the world is not changing in ways that you cannot comprehend, right? And that signals to you that you are going to die soon. Because for many people, that is what that is. It's signaling to you that the world is changing around you and you can no longer comprehend it. You're getting closer and closer to death, and the world looks very different than the way that you existed in it. Regardless of your perspective on the matter, the way to look at this is through empathy. That's what you're supposed to do. Just your starting point should be empathy. Just let trans people exist, because that's all trans people want to do. There is no additional conspiracy. There's no like transing your children. None of that. It's just, they just want to fucking be normal, and they want to coexist and cohabitate the spaces that we're in without constantly, looking over their shoulder thinking that someone's going to fucking destroy them.
It wouldn't prove anything other than what people already know, which is that two sides yell at each other. So we wanted to give sort of gender ideology a chance to hang itself by its own incoherences, which I think is what happened.
I think you definitely
We are watching. We're watching Joe Rogan talk to Matt Walsh, and this is how he started it off. Hold on, I'm not gonna watch the whole thing again. But this is literally the biggest self-report I've ever seen in my life. Look at this.
Your documentaries, I can't tell you how many people have asked me if I've seen it. I think
it's like, that's it. That you're just, dude, hang out with better people. Okay.
Yeah, for real. That, how many people are asking you? What is it? Daily Wire? Is that what it is?
It's literally a fucking paywalled Daily Wire documentary. Okay. Like, I go out in the real world all the fucking time. Okay, I work out. There's a bunch of like meatheads. There's a bunch of people that I'm around that are like Normans, right? They're not like super politically in tune with what's going on in the world. And they know what I do. They know I'm a politics guy. So they're going to ask me questions about politics. And they do from time to time ask me questions about politics. They've never been like, yo, have you seen the Matt Walsh What is a Woman documentary? Dog, that shit is fire. Like, that's not a... normal people don't have this conversation. It's just, you have to be very motivated.
Yeah, you have to be so far down the rabbit hole to even know what the Daily Wire, frankly, is. Like, even like Ben Shapiro is like not famous. He's like famous among like online political people, etc. He's famous among Fox News people, but like the average person knows that shit is weird and is not like a hobbyist going to be watching fucking conservative propaganda shit.
Yeah, but there is definitely like a lot of brain broken people. There's a lot of brain broken people in this community that are also just like constantly and obsessively following every little thing that's going on in the world of politics. And your parents are probably doing that for the right wing side. You know, they go from like every now and then tuning into Fox News to just like kind of being like, I want to learn a little bit more. I want to do my own research. I want to get into the nitty gritty of this stuff. So they then, go on YouTube and start watching dickheads like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro and try to find like talking points to appear smart when they're having conversations with their, children that do not obey them and make them feel stupid. And in an effort to make themselves seem smart and intelligent, they repeat these talking points that they have watched on PragerU videos.
Yeah. PragerU is like much more, so many more people have seen PragerU than have seen this guy's thing. Like that shit is truly everywhere.
Yeah, it sucks.
The arc on this guy, though, on Joe over the last couple of years is pretty wild. Where this is now his entire info diet. He's like entirely in that ecosystem.
Oh yeah. Oh, fully, 100%.
You know, when I went on his show like 3-4 years ago, almost 4 years.
I mean,
ago,
he was like.
He was mostly having comedians on. He had views like this, but he doesn't say them as often. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I, of course, as I said last time I was on, I was under the impression that he could have a conversation about them. And now but he was like already, the brainworms were in there, and now he's like gone full, that's just where he lives, and that's all he's like interested in doing or talking about.